For more than 130 years, this World Heritage Site in Spain has been slowly reaching toward the heavens, and it's still rising. This is Basílica de la Sagrada Familia.
Hay una frase que decimos que él construye la Sagrada Familia y la Sagrada Familia lo construía él. Es una cosa, diríamos así, recíproca.
This magnificent basilica was designed by the brilliant architect Antoni Gaudí.
Él tiene ilusión de hacer esta iglesia y tiene, digamos, el pensamiento de que aquello va a continuar, pero puede continuar con las aportaciones de las generaciones posteriores.
But after Gaudí's death, civil war gripped Spain. Clues as to Gaudí's intentions, such as architectural designs and models, were lost. Even so, Gaudí's followers have not given up on realizing his vision. Nearly 9 decades after Gaudí's death, a great milestone was marked. Something the architect worked on during his lifetime and a symbol of the basilica, the Nativity facade, was finally completed. The 3 massive doors that were left to the end were attached. The full picture of the dream envisioned by Gaudí is finally coming into focus. Barcelona's status as a strategic port on the Mediterranean has helped it prosper and thrive. It's Spain's 2nd largest city, as well as the capital of the autonomous community of Catalonia. Construction on the Sagrada Familia began in the 19th century as Barcelona expanded and developed. The Catalonia region has kept alive its own unique culture and traditions. Catalonians take great pride in their ethnic identity. They speak Catalan, and many think of themselves as a separate nation from the rest of Spain. Gaudí was also proud of his heritage, and he called himself a Catalan. The people of the region continue to love him. Over much of his lifetime, Gaudí poured his passion into the Sagrada Familia. However, the renowned architect completed only one part of the Nativity facade on the east side of the basilica while he was alive. What we see now of the Sagrada Familia has taken nearly 90 years to build since Gaudí's death. What was Gaudí's grand plan? His disciples and successors have had to recreate his vision based on only a few hints that were left behind. The craftsmen are unanimous in their admiration. They say, all of these bizarre designs have a deep meaning. The more I work on this, the more I realize Gaudí's greatness. Jordi Foley is the leader of the 9th generation of architects working on the basilica.
What Gaudí wanted to express in this basilica was we who are suffering can become closer to God through prayer. I think he wanted to express that through architecture. This internal space makes us feel as if we are ascending to the heavens. We are borne upward by the light and nature symbolizing God.
Inside the basilica, one is surrounded by columns that look like towering trees deep inside a forest. The light of the Mediterranean pours through the stained glass windows like rays of sun bursting through foliage. It's believed Gaudí wanted to create a space where worshippers could offer their prayers while being embraced by nature.
When people enter the basilica, they have the feeling of being accepted. They feel at ease and can think calmly about their lives. It's a blessed place where we can feel close to God.
Gaudí believed the hopes he invested in the construction of his masterpiece would carry on long after he was gone.
Gaudí was a great and brilliant architect, so he understood what he would not be able to finish by himself, even the Nativity facade. So what did he do for the next generation? He had the foresight to leave a general plan so that at least his successors could see his vision. They could build on those forms and then freely combine them with their own creations.
Albert Portules is in charge of the models. For every new area to be constructed, elaborate models are made to verify the soundness of the design. Gaudí himself always made architectural models. Using them helped him explain his novel yet flexible ideas to the builders.
This basilica is a very complex structure. The geometric shapes Gaudí used are very intricate. The interpretation of each one is completely different. We must not disturb the harmony or flow. We cannot deviate from Gaudi's concept and what he wanted to express.
Etsuro Soto is a Japanese national and the chief sculptor of the Sagrada Familia. This is the Nativity facade. It depicts the birth of Christ. Soto is part of a long line of people who took on the work the architect left behind. He's been making sculptures for the basilica for nearly 40 years. Gaudi planned to put the statues of 15 angels celebrating the birth of Christ at the center of the facade. Soto consulted with Gaudi's disciples. That helped him carve the angels one by one. Then in 2005, when all the angel sculptures had been completed, the Nativity facade was registered as a World Heritage Site. Soto's challenge now is to put the finishing touches on the Nativity facade. He produced the 3 portals for the facade. The only thing Gaudi had decided for them was their names.
I certainly didn't think we were trying to build something so grand that it would become a World Heritage Site. I just tried earnestly to make what Gaudi envisioned. He wanted something that would last forever, that wouldn't become boring no matter how much you looked at it. The more you look, the more you become obsessed with its ability to enchant. That is the allure of Gaudi. That is also the essence of art. What I decided to do was start from my initial impression, and then, as I moved closer, I would see various things. Then, as I was searching for what this or that was, I wondered what each meant. I was absorbed in the meaning each element was infused with. Then in the end, the doors were created that had not been part of the basilica up to now. These doors fulfilled their function as the entrance to the basilica, and they would remain here forever. I was really happy to be able to cooperate on this. But what I was trying to make was not my own work, but what Gaudi had been searching for. I was just trying to find the answer to that.
In the summer of 2015, the middle of the 3 doors and the door on the left side were completed. When the remaining door, the Portal of Faith, is installed, the Nativity facade, Gaudi's dream, will become a reality. The original locus for this basilica is in the basement. In 1882, construction began on the crypt of La Sagrada Familia. Gaudi's body was interred in a corner of the crypt. It's in these simple surroundings where Gaudi's grand dream was born.
Gaudi had many dreams for his construction work on this underground chapel. With the completion of this chapel, the basilica received many donations, and it became possible to change the plan for the Sagrada Familia. A plan was made to build 18 towers. The poet Maragall likened the huge 18 towers to flowers. Maragall was a friend of Gaudi's, and he knew the architect well. He said Gaudi was building great flowers. Gaudi was filled with passion, and he finished the crypt. His work has been continued by his successors.
How did Gaudi develop his sense of style? His hometown is some 100 kilometers south of Barcelona. Sitting on a bench in the middle of this road is a statue of Gaudi as a young boy. Looking a bit shy, he appears to be engrossed in his thoughts. One wonders how the world appeared to the young architect.
Gaudi had rheumatism as a boy and could not run around like other children. His powers of observation developed because of that. Gaudi studied the world through his intense observations as a child. That's how he developed his technique. He would wonder how something was put together, or how something was made. For example, he would observe a snail and wonder how it was shaped geometrically and why. I think he was born with that kind of mind.
Nature was a playmate for the sickly young Gaudi. He would closely observe the environment around him and wonder why trees and grass could stand, or why, with their thin legs, insects were able to move around so quickly. He would play by himself, questioning his reality. It is a source of pride for the people in this town that Gaudi grew up here. This museum lovingly preserves memorabilia of the young Gaudi. In Barcelona, where Gaudi was professionally active, many of his materials and records were lost in the Civil War. But luckily here, some of his original drawings have been saved.
This is one of Gaudi's notebooks, and some of his notes and original drawings. He kept it when he was studying architecture in Barcelona. It contains notes about ornaments and details of buildings Gaudi was interested in. For example, this is a drawing of a window dressing for a luxury glove shop. exhibited at the World Fair in Paris. It's a sketch of a display case painted in watercolor. It shows the base and glass display.
Gaudi also sketched plants and flowers. The designs of nature were engraved in his mind during his impressionable youth. They were the imaginative foundations for Gaudi the architect. When he was 21, Gaudi enrolled in an architecture school in Barcelona. In this setting, his unique sensibility immediately flourished. When he received his diploma, the head of the school said, "I do not know if I am giving this diploma to a madman or to a genius." Kilometers northwest of Barcelona. The young Gaudi visited this area numerous times. He drew inspiration from the mountains here. This is Montserrat, a spiritual heart of the Catalonia region. When Gaudi was a student, he was involved in creating ornamentation for an abbey halfway up the mountain. It's said that these rugged mountains were originally uplifted from the seafloor. Their natural beauty is the result of thousands of millennia of exposure to wind and rain. Montserrat is infused with the forces of nature and is considered a locus of religious faith. Gaudi was influenced by these forms of nature and incorporated them into his architecture.
Gaudi was a stubborn overseer, though I probably shouldn't say that. There is one thing I place importance on in my work. It's something I tell my staff about and I want everyone to know about. Every day, more than 15,000 people from around the world come here. That's well over 3 million people a year. They all want to know Gaudi. They want to understand the Sagrada Familia. They make every effort to look only at Gaudi, but they won't understand him. I think the easiest way to really understand Gaudi is to try to look at what Gaudi saw from his perspective and to try to embrace what Gaudi embraced.
This is the mansion of the person who recognized Gaudi's talent early on. Palau Güell has been a World Heritage Site since 1984. Auzebi Güell, the man who commissioned the mansion, believed in the young 34-year-old architect, and he let Gaudi design it freely. He was a tycoon who succeeded in several businesses, particularly in the textile industry. Güell was one of the richest men in the world. He supported Gaudi throughout his life. In order to give actual form to the ideas gushing from him, Gaudi gathered craftsmen and had them compete against each other. Gaudi came from a coppersmith family, and he knew that no matter how expensive the materials, if the craftsmen did not have the skills to bring them to life, no creativity would emerge. Gaudi used more than 10 kinds of wood to get the right form and function of the furniture. He used colorful marble for the walls and pillars. He pushed the craftsman's skills to the limit for the lighting. He added beautiful twists to the fixtures that made it hard to believe they were iron. Natural light pierced through the huge copper-covered ceilings. It produced an effect akin to a starry sky. The chimneys from the fireplaces thrust out from the roof. Gaudi changed the commonplace thinking about rooftops. He used 120 different types of tiles, creating beautiful spaces that fused design and function. The strong bond of trust between Güell and Gaudi continued for about 40 years until Güell's death. This is the crypt in Colonia Güell, one of the 7 works of Gaudi registered as a World Heritage Site. For the building of this church, Güell allowed Gaudi a luxury even more important than money. That luxury was time. Gaudi wondered if he could make beautiful muscular pillars that were like the trunks of trees in a forest. Gaudi spent 10 years after he accepted the commission repeating experiments with the designs. And then, finally, Gaudi managed to create pillars that mirrored the power of nature. At that time, the construction of the Sagrada Familia had already begun. This church was, so to speak, a great experimental site that would lead to the basilica that took shape over the decades. This park that Gaudí built with Güell is also registered as a World Heritage Site. The guardian of the park stands at the entrance. It's covered with colorful ceramic fragments. Legend has it that in order to get the shapes he wanted, Gaudí himself jumped up and down on the tiles to break them apart. This is Gaudí's Casa Milà apartment building on a main thoroughfare in Barcelona. It has a beautiful undulating shape. However, at the time, critics said it looked like a stone quarry. But Gaudí had firm belief. People cannot gain serenity within the confines of linearity. In every respect, Gaudí adhered to the curved lines of the natural world. Diverse messages are embedded in his groundbreaking architecture. Gaudí used soldiers as the motif for the design of these chimneys. These soldiers are protecting the citizens of Barcelona from the roof. Gaudí predicted that if people knew what he and his men were actually doing, they would surely visit here from all over the world. And he was right. Millions of people come to see the Sagrada Familia every year. Gaudí's allure transcends borders, cultures, and religions. It is said that Gaudí saved his best tricks for the Sagrada Familia.
When Gaudí was imagining the design for the Sagrada Familia, he was likely focused on his own sense of dynamism. I think Gaudí wanted to build a basilica that could hold a religious mass within its music. It's not that music is performed inside the basilica, Rather, it's this entire basilica that plays the music. Then a mass is performed within this music. That is the kind of basilica it is.
Thus, the Sagrada Familia itself is like a huge instrument. In his later years, Gaudí lived on the site of the Sagrada Familia. He was devoted to this project, spending his own money to help cover the building costs. Then, on June 7th, 1926, the accident happened. Gaudí was making a regular visit to a church in Barcelona when he was hit by a street tram. He was mistaken for a vagrant because of his impoverished appearance, and treatment was delayed. He died a few days later. He was 73.
Esto no se ve tan bonito cuando lo llevo. Bueno.
Even after his death, the construction of the Sagrada Familia continued. It's about 90 years since Gaudi's death. One more milestone in the Sagrada Familia's long history is approaching: the completion of the Nativity facade. On December 1st, 2015, the installation began of the facade's final door. The chief sculptor, Itsuro Soto, has spent 15 years toiling away on the facade's doors. Soto had to start from scratch, from selecting the materials to deciding what they should be turned into. What kind of doors would Gaudi have fashioned had he been alive now? The doors Soto would make certainly could not be copies of Gaudi's work. He had to make something the revered architect had envisioned but never completed. Soto says he has continued to ask himself those questions.
Dice que al principio parece que se cruzó un poquito, luego ya se va llevando.
Porque la puerta
entra muy justita. Pero bueno, así nos gustan los retos, que sean complejos, no que sean sencillos. Los retos tienen que ser.
Finally, the Nativity facade is completed. Gaudi's dream has become a reality with the installation of the 3 portals. Each door has a name, thought up by Gaudi. The portal of Charity, the middle door, is under the statues of Joseph and Mary celebrating the birth of Christ. Ivy, symbolizing the husband and wife, twines along the facade. Producing no flowers itself, ivy nonetheless protects and cherishes the lives of small creatures. Soto has paid a number of visits to Montserrat and Gaudi's hometown. He goes there to absorb the abundant nature. It's part of his effort to express the vibrant life of the forests of Catalonia in these doors. On the left side is the portal of hope. The iris flowers symbolize hope, and there are reeds that grow along the banks of rivers in Catalonia. Reed is indispensable for fieldwork. Even if they are swept away by floods, the next year they return, growing thickly. And then there is the portal of faith, which was just completed. Flowers are always blooming within the hearts of those who have faith. Symbolizing that are the wild roses filling the door. While he was alive, Gaudi would say to the workmen every day, "Tomorrow we will do beautiful things." Even today, those words echo within the hearts of the architects, designers, and craftsmen who are trying to complete his most famous project. Gaudi's message is everywhere within the Sagrada Familia. It is the wonder of nature and everything it creates. Gaudi offers us a prayer for peace. His vision lives on into the future.